Hey, good evening to all of you who are here on this event. It's a red letter day for two people who are the guests for this event, and I'm so glad to be the person moderating this conversation and launching a fantastic book that you see behind me. And it's going to be a great experience for all of you because the book is interesting, and I read the book, and I'm very happy to have a conversation with two lovely people, a very dear friend who came as a guest on one of my events, and his father. Both of them have written this book. Frederick Correa and Frederick Savio Correa. I am so happy that I have a very, very energetic, effervescent, and bubbling father, and a very calm and a very composed son. And both of them together have penned their thoughts on this fantastic book. I think the conversation in the next 40 minutes is going to be very, very interesting. And I have picked up a couple of areas that caught my attention when I read the book. And I thought it would be of interest to all of you as well. Authoring a book is not easy. There are a lot of people in this call today, some of them very senior HR professionals. I see Mr. Steve Correa there. Uh, Successful leaders also baffle writing a book, and there are others who have written books. I run an organization which is book based leadership consulting, but I don't know if I'll ever have the courage and the capability to author a book. So I have complete respects and regard for people who have been able to pen down their thought processes across pages of a book and give it for audience to read and consume and learn. I think on that way, a great effort by both of them, a huge, huge compliment from me and the entire fraternity of book lovers like me to great authors who have written so many books across the years. And congratulations, Mr. Savio and Frederick, to join that elite fraternity of authors who have written books for generations and contributed to the society. A huge applause from my side. So this clap comes from me as a representative of all those book lovers, crazy book readers, and who see the value of books and how books can amplify and expand individuals. So great work by both of you. Congratulations. 25th of June 2021 is a memorable day in your life. You may author many, many books going forward, but the first book authored here, both of you, and getting launched is going to be very, very interesting and memorable for both of you. On that note, let me welcome both of you, the authors, and also the other guests. And as I see many more are joining in, and I welcome all those people who were invited on LinkedIn, my fraternity friends and colleagues, Fred's fraternity colleagues and friends. Let them keep pouring in. All right. Let me go with the first one. And look at the book. The book is Enhance Your Employability with Ikigai. Now, there was a book, Ikigai, which was very, very famous, and people loved the book. A small book, but a very insightful book. The meaning of the word Ikigai it says, is a reason for being. Now, Fred, question to you first, then I'll jump on to your father. A reason for being is so powerful. Tell me, what was the Ikigai behind you? And what was that being that made you author the book? We would love to listen to that moment or that thought process or the story behind that. Let's start with your friend.
Absolutely. In fact, many of my colleagues or a lot of people on this call would not really know this story because I haven't shared it with a lot of people. But coming from Bengal, and why just Bengal, in Calcutta and all of India also, there's this notion, that science students are good students, right? If you are not a science student, you're not a good student. So people become engineers and doctors in India, and then they decide what they want to do with their careers. So I of course, fell prey to this thought process also. I did my first master's, went into microbiology, then did biotechnology. only to come to a realization once I started working. So my first stint was in a pharmaceutical company. It was only for a month, and no one knows about it because it's not in my CV or my profile. But I realized, is this what I want to do for the rest of my life? And then I was fortunate to get a call from Kunal, come, why don't you join us? It was a startup. It was a few years in. Come join us. I said, you know what? I'm going to come and I'm going to join you. I've studied a lot of behavioral psychology and I have a lot of interest in people. I'd like to join you, but I'll not work in the lab. I would like to join you in human resources. He was also kind of surprised that, you know what, you studied biotech. You probably studied this for 20, 22 years of your life, or at least come up to this point, and then you don't want to use it. So I said, yeah, that's my only, that's what I'm going to do. That's the only reason I'm going to leave this, because this was a brand, established firm, good job, to be very honest, with the campus placement. Other guys would have given their arm and limb for this job. But then again, of course, they cursed me a month later when I quit and I went and took this because I robbed them of that opportunity. So I went, I worked over there. 2 years later, I realized that, you know what, this is what I want to do. And I wanted to go and do my second master's in HR. Had a lot of good advice from a lot of my seniors, my uncle, my family members. Went in to do my master's in HR, only to come across another fork in the road, and another problem, where I joined a B school and realized, and this is what people also saw, that HR is not as well paying as a finance job or a marketing job. Having 11 lakhs loan, because I had taken my loan for my education loan, and the fact that HR jobs are very few and scarce. Everybody was telling me, you know what, you speak well, you should do marketing. My finance professors were, your grades are good in finance, you should be doing finance. And quite honestly, my grades in HR were, the B pluses, and finance were A's, because in finance, you either know it or you don't know it. You get it right, you don't get it right. HR is subjective. It depends whether your professor likes your answer or not. But I stuck to my decision. When placements happened, and 50% of the batch, and when I say 50%, I'm talking about marketing and finance guys got placed, not a single HR job.
Yeah.
And the stress, and a lot of my peers. Now, fortunately, because of the stages in life I saw, because of the decisions I took, because of the experiences I had, I knew that, I listened to everyone and did what they told me or what they thought was right or the best thing for me. But this time I'm going to do what I feel is right. Right? And I stuck to my decision. God was kind. I was fortunate. Got into a fantastic organization today, doing fairly well. But I'm happy with what I'm doing. And a lot of people in my batch who landed up falling prey to, and this is something which I've seen.
Your internet connection is unstable as retail.
Falling prey to such pressures and thoughts, and deviating from what they should be doing. So they've taken up marketing jobs 2-3 years back, then they get into an HR job, and sometimes it gets too late for you.
Yeah.
You're into a job and you've created an experience, and you're not ready to go back and start from scratch. And I wanted to contribute to at least the HR fraternity, and I wanted to get people to start understanding the importance of taking decisions which will impact your career, because this is a 30-year marathon. It's not a 5-year race that who gets ahead. It's not placement.
Beautifully said.
I got a job. I got a 2 lakh job more.
True.
It's a marathon, and you got to take decisions which are going to impact you for the next 30 years. And another thing, don't let the last 3 or 4 years of education stop or allow you to be who you are. People have this sunken cost. But I'm an engineer for 4 years. Should I do this? I have been doing this for 5 years. Should I do this? So a lot of people I came across were struggling from this issue. So I said, what? Come on, let's do some research, and I went for my PhD. Right? Took up employability studies. Now my guide told me, what you're talking about is not a problem which HR folks face. It's a problem with the higher education system in India. And that expanded my horizon, and then I pursued my research covering such a wider ambit.
Yeah.
3 years later, when I published my first research article in 2018, I was very thrilled. I went all over and I was saying, look, I published an article in Scopus. Academicians, oh, great, pat on the back. I tell you, nobody read it. or if people read it, or if my friends and everyone
People
read it,
like us,
they would have read the summary.
laymen like us, Fred, we read such articles, we don't get head and tails of
Yeah,
it. It's all
absolutely. You'll be like, I don't
baby
care what
stuff.
this scientist said and that scientist said and what this guy did. So the whole idea, and that's when I went to my dad and I said, you know what, I wanted to do this because I wanted to contribute to society. I wanted to contribute, but all this energy and effort I put in. How do I democratize it? How do I revolutionize it? How do I popularize it? How do I take it to the mass?
Lovely.
And that was the inspiration of writing this book. Of course, a side note, Dad and I got to spend a lot of time with each other because of this project as well, which was a fantastic thing. And he also, with the kind of experience he had, my research, his practical experience was a beautiful blend.
Combination, absolutely.
Beautiful combination with a little bit of philosophy, which enabled us to, take something so complex and dry and make it fresh, relevant, yet purposeful and scientific. And
not to interrupt you, Fred, I would completely agree with what you're saying. The combination of your theoretical understanding of the subject and his practical experience of life comes beautifully through the pages across the management talk and templates that you have provided, along with those powerful quotes that you have picked up from multiple spaces which are philosophical. So I see the quotes beautifully intertwined to the management concepts across those pages. So I think I understand where you're coming from. Now I can relate how these two came into the pages of the book.
And 3 years down the line, there you have it. Here we are today.
Lovely. Superb. Thank you so much. That's so interesting. A biotechnology person who was supposed to be working in literally DNA is working in helping human beings find their DNA through the space of HR, right? Good. I'm glad to have people like you in the space of HR, Fred. So I'm going to go to your father now. So Mr. Savio, I'm going to invite you here, and I hope I see you there. Tell me, what was your ikigai? What was your thought that after so many years of your experience in the workspace, you decided to come and join your son in authoring this book? So tell us a little about that and the experience.
Yeah, exactly. We have a organization of St. Jude's, which is a vocational and technical college. And we also teach academic studies for people who are dropouts.
Okay.
I found that some students who are very knowledgeable but have left studies or are not studying because of certain reasons. So we get them, we inspire them to study, and we get them passed to class 10. Then they go above to class 12. We make them understand, we inspire, we try to understand his view of life, what he wants to do, and then we coach him.
Right.
My NIOS students that were thrown out from big schools, they have become good lawyers, judges, and they are taking quite a lot of important, posts in our country.
True.
You see, it is due to their bad experience. A student is made from 3 E's. That is education, experience, and environment. So if their experience is bad in their whole school or in their life, they leave studies.
Yeah.
They don't understand. If they leave studies, how are they going to educate themselves?
True.
And they won't be able to find their dream path. So our job was to inspire them, to make them do. And this was a nice work. And vocational training, to show them a trade to go in. Now, if you pass class 10 or class 12, where you will go? Sir, we are dropouts. I say, you don't have to think yourself to be a dropout. The most important thing is, what do you love and what do you want to do?
Beautiful.
So you go ahead, you tell me, what are your interests in life?
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to be a lawyer, sir. I wanted to be there. There was a student who got comparts, and his father told me, I'm not interested to teach him. I paid his compartment fees, and he carried on. He passed his compartment, and I got him into law college. I've got a lot of connections in Kolkata.
Lovely.
I got him admitted to law college, and then later on his father paid the fees of the college. But I tell you, this guy is a good lawyer today.
Fantastic. I think you helped him find his Ikigai somewhere.
Yeah, I am very much after them to, move their way, and I push them. and they
Beautiful.
always come for advice, and that is good. So when my son came to me and told me, Papa, let's like a book, because employability, I was looking right from the morning. I mean, from the
Hello.
beginning, we were seeing
Abay
where
ni Meta by who? Hello.
I think your connection is not okay. Tell me. Yeah.
It's fine,
So
fine.
I
Continue.
my phone.
Go ahead.
You're clear. Please keep speaking, Mr. Sabir.
All right, because I get disturbed with this. So, we are very sure we show the part, we make the student imagine his dream and take out the chart away to make himself a successful. A lot of students were successful. So we wrote this book and we put in a lot of my experience in it. And I'm sure it is a companion to everybody who's going to read the book. He can use this book every now and then.
Oh, I agree with
his progress.
I agree with this, Mr. Sabio, because when I read the book before coming into this event, I got a copy of that. I was telling Fred that I don't see this as a book. I see this as a workbook.
Yeah,
and there's a significant difference between a book and a workbook. And what both of you have done beautifully is you have given a workbook in the form of a book.
Yeah. Because in the book you only lecture, in the textbook you lecture. In the workbook, you make them question their inner mind. So by questioning, they are able to solve their own problems. We do not solve problems of students. They have to solve their own problems. They made the problems, they solve it. We give them the questions so they find the path.
Which was the most interesting because the templates, etc., had all that. So that takes me to the next question. And Fred, this comes to you, right? There's so many books on employability. It's not that you are the first father-son duo or author writing on this. There are hundreds and hundreds of books written on this. I have read 2 of them. This is the 3rd book on employability that I've read. Tell us a little about what key gaps that you have seen in the space of employability, or probably in those books, due respect and merit to the great authors there, that you both have attempted to fill through this book on employability.
Sure. So I'll just take two, or I'll just take a very short extract from some of the research I had done. So one of the key understandings are, and as far as employability is concerned, there are 2 major factors which affect someone's employability. One are the proximal factors, which are under your own control, like knowledge, skill set, your communication skills, your emotional quotient. This is within your control. And then there's this contextual influence, that very, very nicely put it, the kind of environment you go through. So the kind of environment in your higher education institutes, of course, your family, the way you grow up, your society, all of those contribute. But one of the larger players are these higher education institutes, and most importantly, not only higher education institutes, but also organizations, right? So the contextual influence differs based on these colleges and these organizations, based on the kind of industry academia interface. If you're looking at these schools or in engineering colleges, and if you look at organizations, you look at the kind of acculturization process which you have, which enables the transfer of skill set from your college or from your higher education institute to work.
Right.
You'll be surprised how come under the same set of circumstances, people from similar backgrounds, some people break records while others break themselves. Right? So these contextual influences significantly impact you as well. Now, what we have done, and see, the whole idea was to not only contribute to the student part, but also to organizations and academia. So, of course, for academia, you have a lot of research, but our second book is for organizations and what organizations can do. So that's more a management book. What organizations can do to enable and to foster and enhance this culture and transfer this to getting your new joinees to start performing faster and much better. So that's our second book. But the first book was on these proximal influences. And one thing I saw, that whatever you talk about, all of these things had a very strong relation and pointed towards your career clarity. And career clarity has a very high correlation with employer satisfaction. So if you're clear with what you want to do, and if you have that, there is a higher chance and probability of your success and your employer being happy.
Very true. Very
right?
true.
So that was the central piece. And you see, that is why we of course borrowed this concept of Ikigai from Japan. And like you rightly said, the idea was to fuse philosophy with this practical, with this insight to enable one to find out their Ikigai, or in short, you know, I'll take the liberty of throwing some light on Ikigai. Ikigai is nothing but, overlap of 4 Venn diagrams. 1, what you like to do. 2 is what you're good at, because you may like something, but you need to have a particular skill set. 3, what the world needs, and 4, what the world is ready to pay for. And sweet spot, that overlap, that intersection is Ikigai. So you'll see, we spent a lot of time, and in fact, a good amount of exercises to enable one to find, what is it that they need to do in life. And I say this is not something which is meant only for, someone who's studying higher education institutes. I think it's very important for early career professionals as well. Because, sometimes they're just doing things because they think it's good for their career. People land up in business school or higher education institutes because of advice, or because they think, I'm earning 5 or 6 lakhs today, I'll join this B school, I'll get 10, 12 lakhs. So the motivation and the thought process is very short-term oriented. And this book helps you to, shift that thought process. Like I said earlier, you need to move from, thinking 5 years down the line to 30 years, because that's where you want to be. And if that's where you want to be, how do you plan your career?
Lovely.
So a large portion of the book is to help you find that. And then once we help you find that, not we help you, once you help yourself find that, there's a step-by-step guide on how to go about achieving that. Right? So your higher education institute is like a railway station, If you get to the railway station, but you don't know which train to catch, you'll be in the railway station. And if someone tells you, there's a first class ticket available to Bangalore, but you actually go to Calcutta, and that's a RAC, or there's a second class ticket available, and you just take the easier way and go to Bangalore while you want to go to Calcutta, you're just moving away, or you're going further from where you want to be. So
absolutely,
the idea is to give you that strength, that courage to take those right decisions, the courage to stick by those decisions, and a plan, a step-by-step plan, what you need to do. Because at the end of the day, if you have career clarity, we are sure your first job may not be your dream job, but you're going to be moving in that direction. And that's what's the difference in this book. We want colleagues to, or we want readers to look into themselves. Right? Find out that, what is it that you want to do? And it's not about just follow your passion, because a lot of people say you just follow your passion. It's not so simple. You may follow your passion, but if it's not required in the world, then you're not going to get anything. Then you're going to be an artist.
Very true.
To be appreciated. Maybe after you die, whatever you do gets appreciated. So it's very important to not only look within, but also look around. Right? What is needed? Understand, and how can you bridge that gap? So it's about following your passion, but being practical and marrying those two.
Lovely, lovely. I think very beautifully articulated, Fred. In fact, I have a couple of thoughts we can build on to what you said. And I think this is interesting for all the audience who would eventually get to read the book. I'm speaking with my own experience of having read the book. I'm an engineer, right? And I'm today running a leadership consulting company. My father wanted me to be the first engineer of the family to engineer ban gaya. Aaj tak mujhe nahi pata ki main engineer kyun bana. Many years later, in one of my corporate roles, my boss would always tell me, Rajiv, people who work in the space of engineering can call themselves an engineer. People like you are engineering graduates, not engineers. I said, wow, that was a paradigm shift in my thought process. So I don't call myself an engineer anymore, but I'm an engineering graduate. The point I'm trying to drive is, there are many people who probably did something because their parents wanted them to do, or they're still doing something the society is wanting them to do. And they get enamored by a lot of advices around, which is good. Society and the people around would always advise you to go the right way. But what I loved is, over and above those advices, which are very interesting, if you have this book, it almost plays the role of a Bible to look into the book and figure out what do you want to do. So the accountability shifted on your shoulder, and you take a decision based on the tools and techniques that you have provided, and give clarity for that reader, and all that cobweb just opens up. And you also spoke about passion, right? Now, one very powerful book, Grit by Angela Duckworth, she says passion is about two things: purpose and interest. If a person can find the interest in an area and also find the purpose to it, then he or she will have absolute passion. I think this book, through those templates and techniques and tools you've given Fred and Mr. Savio, it helps the reader to find the interest area of the reader, and also eventually find the purpose to channelize the energy towards that. And if these two meet by the end of the book, I think the reader will be able to find the passion and go in that direction. In my case, if I had known, okay, I want to get into the leadership space, I should have probably done something in that area. What is the point of doing electrical engineering? So I think this book is timely, is relevant, helps those readers to move and figure out what their career is. I think that's a huge gap that you're kind of bridging through this book. I think very, 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 very lovely effort. Kudos to both of you. I'm going to come to Mr. Savio, the hat man there. So tell me, sir, 60 pages allotted to discovering your Ikigai as the first step. 60 pages of the book is given to only this. And I said, why did both of them give so many pages? Could they not have shrunk it to just 30, 35 and moved on? But tell me, why is this the first step? And how would this help the reader discover your Ikigai?
Okay. Now, Ikigai is a method that moves a student or moves a person ahead.
All right.
And the feeling of achievement, of enlightenment. You see, Ikigai comes from a Japanese word. Iki means life, and Gai means value.
Right.
So its life value is above all else.
Hmm.
It is your reason
Hmm.
for living.
Hmm.
It is what you are.
Hmm.
Okay, so when we took on writing this book, what is the main thing is we want them to realize the difference between your passion,
Hmm.
that is what you love,
True.
and what are your qualities, your skills, your
Right.
talent,
Right.
and what the world needs.
Hmm.
And the last, which is very important, is whether the world can pay you for that,
Very
the
true.
money
Hmm.
part. All right. Now, you have to, first of all, ask yourself, these are the four things. We have to go to the coverage of all the four intersections.
Right.
And where they are coming in, that part is the Ikigai. So the Ikigai is deep inside you, Rajiv.
Right.
You got to look for it. You got to search for it. Now, if you don't have love for your work, but you're doing a work, all right, the world needs it, okay,
Some salary is
you're
coming.
getting paid, but you're not getting satisfaction. A lot of people are doing it.
Right.
Now,
At na bigyan
suppose
sa sukay.
you are doing a work, but you're not very good at it. Your talent is not up to the mark. You're never satisfied. So, all four, it is very important that all the four, the combination of the four, the fifth is the Ikigai. So while writing the book, this is what I was telling Sidhu, we have to see that the students understand the Ikigai. Once they understand, they have found the Ikigai.
Lovely.
And if they find the Ikigai, they can go about spreading, teaching people, talking with people, being nice with them, and living in harmony. So education is not only about intelligence, which is knowledge.
True.
Not only of information. Information, you can get a lot of information from the YouTube.
Yeah.
Okay. But education, it is the wisdom to use your education. And there's
Absolutely.
one more thing that is very important now that they should be teaching is education, not only with the information which is easily available in the net, but also to live in harmony in society.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
that is also a part of Ikigai. Ikigai
Completely agree.
teaches you to mix with people, to nurture friendship, right? To control your body and mind. These are all the ingredients of Ikigai. That's why we took 60 pages explaining this.
I think that was very well answered, Mr. Savio, because I think the maximum amount of effort and time that needs to be invested by an individual is in finding this ikigai to enhance himself or herself. The rest seem to be an effort of knowledge and skills that can be picked up through the tools and techniques across the various pages of the book. It seems to be a little easier path to tread, but the first 60 takes you deeper and kind of positions you and makes you a poised person to now get ready and pick up those tools and try it. So I think very beautifully articulated. I'm going to take this to Fred. Fred, let's say I discover my ikigai, right? Or the reader discovers the ikigai in 60 pages, and then he moves on from the 61st page onwards. There's something which was very interesting. It says, own your personality development, and that's so important. And you have given this as one of the important steps. I'm going to ask you, what are young aspirants not doing in your view? And what shift are you wanting to bring in this chapter? I'm reading the question so that I don't miss out the essence of the question. Let me repeat for the audience. What are young aspirants not doing in your view? And what shift are you trying to bring through this chapter of own your personality development? Why is that so important? Samaric sounded very, ये तो सबको पता है, बहुत साल से चल रहा है, नया क्या है? What are you trying to say here, Fred?
So first things first, when you have the end in mind, and that's what I'm trying to get after you go through the first chapter and after you realize your Ikigai, is you know what you want to do and where you want to be there.
Very true.
Now, making that journey, traversing that journey is all upon you, right? How do you develop yourself to get there, right? So you got to work backwards. If this is where I want to be, this is what I need to do. By this time, this is how I need to do it, right? So you need to, one, have your own milestones in place. So, it's very simple, and you would have heard a lot of people say, you must have your goals in place, and you must have your milestones in place. After you have your milestones, you must have SMART goals. They have to be time bound and they have to be realistic, and you got to review those goals. People tell you that, and you find this in every book, right? So what people don't tell you is the most important tool after having all these things in place is the ability or the desire of constant and intermittent introspection. You got to reflect. You got to reflect on what am I doing today? What have I done so far? How is that taking me towards my goal?
True.
Right? Because many people, they have these things that by 45, I want to retire. This is what I want to do. Fantastic. How am I going to do it? By 40, I'll do this. By 30, I'll do this. But where you are today, you're going nowhere in that direction. And the best thing is you don't realize it. Because, Einstein said, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing again and again and expecting a different outcome. So if you're not reflecting on what you're doing today, and if you're not moving towards your goal, then you're not moving at all. Right? So when you have your goal in place, when you have these milestones, and like all the advice others have given, you put in SMART goals, etc. It is not about only reviewing these goals, but reflecting on what am I doing today? Am I moving towards that? Have you done a skill set audit?
Right.
Have you audited where you are? Have you realized where you want to be? What are you doing to develop that skill set? How are you going to develop that skill set? Right? You need to take charge. A lot of people, they would leave career assessment, or they would leave, career path building to the HR folks or to management or to their leader. Good. But understand, it's your career. You got to be more concerned about it, right?
Correct.
Right. So you got to own it. So so how to go about it? What are the steps? we've used certain analysis and certain tools, and we've been a different paradigm. It's not like what, a lot of the things we've put across. It's all research. It's done by a lot of researchers. A lot of great thinkers have bought these ideas. What we have only tried to do is operationalize it,
Yeah.
bring in that practical understanding, put in that paradigm, such that you enjoy doing it. And it's not like, oh wow, okay, I know about who doesn't know this. But how do you go about doing it?
आ गया
Getting people to go through that journey, traverse the journey is what is the purpose of it. So that is why this chapter is extremely important.
I think very very rightly said, because I think what I liked in the book, and I want to call this here, is the why is very clearly answered for the reader across the 60 pages, and also the what, where he or she wants to go. The beach ka jo how hai, that is answered in the pages from 61 onwards through methodical step-by-step processes across those templates and tools and techniques. So somewhere the why, how, and what of the golden circle of Simon Sinek that he talks about in his book has kind of brought in by you both in this book. And I think how stands out very strong. I think it's very important here, because most of the boys and girls and the young leaders who read the book, I think they baffle and they battle around the how piece. थोड़ा बहुत वाइज आज समझ में आ जाता है, vision of what do we want to do भी आ जाता है, but we get stuck in, okay, tell me what do we do next, tell me the step 1, step 2, step 3, and I don't have a ready reckoner with me. Now this book comes across as a beautiful ready reckoner that I keep it on the coffee table in the hall and pick it up and just flip through pages and try it out. I don't need to go to a library and create a big total quality management technique on tools and templates. इसमें से उठाओ, try it out. It'll give you immediate reflection of what's your current situation, where do you want to go, and what are the barriers. It clearly tells you. I think that's very. I think it's simplistic for me as a reader when I read it. I think you beautifully use the word operationalize it. I think you have done it very very well, right? So this tempts me for the next question to you again, Fred. I'm going to go to you again, right? As I told you, this philosophy that's weaved into the book, and I'm going to read two that just stood and it blew me out. Okay, it comes from this particular chapter which says, "Win when it matters." It's a very very lovely chapter. Okay, win when it matters. The first quotation, I'm going to read this. Experience is the result of active learning and not just doing a job. The second one, success is all about timing. Learn to delay gratification. And the second one, delay gratification, is what is also being told by the author of Emotional Intelligence in his book, Dan Goleman. He talks about how emotionally intelligent people have the ability to delay gratification. Now, the moment I read delay gratification, Dan Goleman came in my head. I said, wow, Fred is talking about something which is insightful. Expand this for us, these two quotations for it.
Absolutely. Honestly, two of the most important insights from this chapter. Of course, this is my favorite chapter as well. And I'll throw out an example. Generally you ask someone, what experience do you have? And they say, I have 15 years of accounts experience. Right? Now, does he have 15 years of quality experience, or he has 1 year of experience 15 times over? Right? Experience is not number of years. It's like someone asks you how much sleeping experience and you'll say 35 years. Why? You've been doing it for 35 years, right? So the same way you'll say you have 15 years of work experience, right? So experience, time spent doing something is not experience, right? Now I'll throw another example. And a lot of people, have this thought process, and, this also covers the delay gratification. That, I work for 2 years in one organization, then I'll leave, then I'll go work in another organization in the same space. That will help me grow faster. Imagine a situation, there are two people who joined the same organization.
True.
Okay. Let's presume, both work with pens and both produce pens. There are 5 cycles in the development of this. Is someone join, both of them join Link.
Right.
Stage 1 and stage 2, they do in Link. The second gentleman then goes to Parker. Then he joins Parker. He joins there. They are also producing their new product. He joins there in stage 3, does stage 4 and stage 5. And this gentleman completes all 5 stages in Link. Now, who do you think has better experience? Because the gentleman who's in link in the 3rd year, 4th year, and 5th year is able to learn from the decisions he's taken in his 1st and 2nd year. His learning is exponential, but if you look at the other guy, his learning is linear because he knows all the stages. But in stage 3, he's not taken the decision of stage 1 and 2, right? So his learning is linear. He may know stage 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but his understanding becomes linear, and you'll see a lot of people tend to level up because of this. Because in the initial years, you need to focus on building your foundation.
Right.
And when I say delay gratification, I talk about being successful in the second part of your life, because everyone, at this point in time, or a lot of the youth these days, and millennials, they want instant gratification. They want to get the fruit first and then they sow the tree, right? So the idea is to understand, and I've said this and I'm saying this again, to look at your career as a marathon. And in a marathon, your strategy is what? You save energy.
Yeah.
And when the time comes in the end, you want to sprint and, get everyone out.
True.
If you want to sprint and burn yourself in the first 5 years, hopping from one job to another, actually your package may go up, but is your learning going up? Are you building that foundation? So tomorrow, when you're a leader, where is that experience going to come? And that is the difference between a successful leader, because you see, being successful in the first half of your career is very easy. You have very good guides, you have very good managers, you have very good superiors. They will tell you what to do and how to go. You follow them, you'll go ahead.
Yeah.
But you can't piggyback on them once you become a leader yourself.
Very
it's
true.
great to have a mentor and coach, but you need to have that wisdom. And that's what Dad said. Wisdom is the ability to use the knowledge.
Absolutely. Very nice.
That makes the difference. So one point I'm trying to emphasize on is to stick to an organization and complete learning cycles. This learning cycles is a concept introduced by Chandramouli, and I dedicate this chapter to him, right? Because when I read his book, I was like, wow, fantastic. It changed the way I look at various aspects and decision making while you're at work. Shifting from one job to another, when you should do it, how you should do it, why you should do it.
True.
That so there are various aspects which also I try to cover in this, but that's what I mean by great gratification, and focus on developing yourself. Focus on getting involved in those learning cycles and complete those learning cycles. Don't leave in between, don't join in between.
True. I think beautifully articulated, and thanks for pulling it. You almost put it out of my mouth, because I have read the book Catalyst of Mr. Chandramouli Venkatesan. He's not with us anymore. But I think he also very beautifully says, invest the first half of your life through those learning cycles to get the benefit of it in the second half of your life, which is what you're also talking about, and delay the gratification there. I think it's very interesting for all the people who are looking at becoming better employable in the corporate rat race, to look at, not participate in the rat race, but look at it as a marathon that you spoke in the start, and invest in the first laps towards building those capabilities, and then finally reap the benefit in the next laps, right, as you come to the finish line. I think beautifully articulated. I'm so tempted to go to the next and one of the most powerful philosophical statement, and thanks to both of you to have introduced this in this book. I did not know this, and this completely blew me off again. And this question goes to Mr. Savio, and he's the best man to answer this. Okay, and this is fabulous, fantastic, interesting, insightful, lovely. I don't know what more adjectives can I use, but audience, listen to this. If a drop of water falls in a lake, there is no identity. If a drop of water falls in a lake, there is no identity. If it falls on a leaf of a lotus, it shines like a pearl. I was like, wow, this is magnificent. How can individuals not get lost in the lake but shine like a pearl? It just comes out so beautifully through this quotation. So I'm going to ask Mr. Savio, take a minute and tell me, sir, why is this such a powerful message, and what are you trying to tell people through this?
what I want you to understand here is that you must shine wherever you are. It is your value, and your value is equal to your commitment, your integrity, your attitude, and your character.
Right.
You have to go. If you have a good attitude, people will like you. Your values will go up. If your attitude is not up to the mark, you see, in a area there may be two shops, but one is selling good, the other is not selling so well, and he says that person is lucky. It's not because he's lucky. You better correct your attitude. There's
Right.
some problem you have. So first is the attitude what you have, then is your commitment. Now commitment is owned by knowledge. All right. Whenever you make a commitment, make sure you will be able to do it. If you can't, it will be useless. So once you made a commitment, the other hand is integrity. Now, once you made the commitment, you have to fulfill it. If you do not fulfill it, you spoil your integrity. That means your value goes down.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And you see, to keep your value at the highest, you have to be at your peak. You know, at your peak, you must give your best in your
Very
life.
true. Very
So
true.
everywhere you are going, you should find your Ikigai over there. Every day should be a new Ikigai day for you.
And that'll help
And
you to
you're-
shine like a pearl.
Yeah, because wherever he is, he should shine. That is what this book meaning, and so much 60 pages on that Ikigai is.
Yeah.
Come on, man, just shine. And
Absolutely.
I tell you, there are a lot of people that are shining. It is just how you polish what you have learned. We cannot correct you. We can only inspire you. You get motivated. You get motivated, and you do. And the more you shine, the more you polish, the better you shine.
Beautiful.
So
Beautiful.
integrity, and then come character. Character plays another very important thing in your life. So you see, there may be a best doctor in town, but if he's characterless, you're not going to send your mother or your sister down to him. So you see, a person is very important. He holds all the four to have a value. So
Absolutely.
like this, there are core values, there are business values, there are moral values where you have to be, look after your parents and things like that. So you've got to understand your values.
True. 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 I think this is beautifully said
There
because
are other many things we have put down
absolutely.
in the book, which with our experience is going to help, and a lot of short stories, which will help the candidate to understand, question himself, get awareness. Getting awareness is very important. Once they get awareness, they will be able, I'm very sure, to conquer and find get their way to their dreams, move forward. And
I'm
this
sure.
workbook will help them to move forward. Our numbers are there, our emails are there. If there is any problem, please do call us. We will be glad to help you.
Oh, that's
All
such a
right.
generous
Advice
offer.
is always there.
Thank you so much. That's such a generous offer to all the people, and I think they should go. I'm going to announce this on LinkedIn as well, so that many people connect with both of you. I think it's beautifully articulated. I think I'm happy that I threw this question to the right person, and I got all the experience coming through the hat to answer this lovely and insightful quotation of how is it important for rising above skills and knowledge and transactional things, but the character that can evolve and help you to shine better like a pearl, right? It is so eternal. It is never anachronistic, right? It stays relevant in all times and all generations. And this book, along with those techniques and tools of management, it also gives you a lot of input on how do you relax like this. You see me going back, go back, put your hand like this. Okay, I never thought on this. Probably this is one character I need to improve upon. This is one attitude I need to work on. It gives you such insights as you flip through those pages. I think beautiful work done by both of you. Kudos to you and to Mr. Savio, Fred and Savio. Lovely work here. I'm so honored, I'm so humbled to have got the opportunity to do this today, launch the book for both of you. I'm going to leave this conversation with one last message that each of you want to give, and 30 seconds to both of you to quickly give that bullseye message to the listeners and the future readers of this book. After that, I'll take a minute from the audience to share their experience. First, to the hat man, Mr. Savio, one message to the readers and the listeners, please. 30 seconds to you, sir.
See, go through this book and understand it. Have your self-reflection over there. And I'm very sure that the more you study, the more it will tell you how to solve your problems and how to find your dream path. I'm very sure about it. Please read the book, not only once, but every time with the interval that you like, you enjoy the book. It's a practical book. It's like a coach to you. You are having a coach, and with all my experience, my 40 years of experience in technical and vocational and in teaching, I take
We are losing the golden words from the man.
very good book.
I'm missing that.
And read a lot of biographies, inspiring stories. Be what you want to be.
Sure. So, sir, we missed a bit of it, but thank you so much. I'm going to give a double high five from here. Please show your hands and give me a high five from there.
Okay, thank you.
Fantastic. Fred, to you, one message to the listeners and the future readers.
I think, there are two G's which are very important. One is God and one is goal. We spoke a lot about, getting your goal in place. And towards the end, of course, the importance of values, character, and building yourself to have, a principle-centered, leadership approach. Because having these two G's in place, your God and your goal is going to take you everywhere.
Beautiful, beautiful, fantastic. So I gave a double high five to him for mark of respect for the great man. So I'm going to give you a single high five from you. So give me a single high five from there. Lovely, lovely, lovely having a chat with both of you. I'm going to stop any questions and anything from my side. I'm going to pull the audience and all of you are here. Quick, unmute yourself and take 30 seconds to share your thoughts of the last 45-50 minutes of conversation. And I'm sure all of you are eagerly waiting for the hard book to reach your address, which I'm sure Fred is generous enough to courier and send it across to you. So please unmute yourself and share your thoughts.
Hi, Fred.
Anybody can speak.
Hi, Fred. This is Dara.
Hi, Dara.
Really engaging chat and to learn sort of certain things about you, which we didn't know. And congratulations to Savio. Just wanted to know, when did you find the time to do this? And how did you manage?
Everyone asks me, despite what you do and with the kind of work hours we have, how did you manage to do 2 master's degrees other than what you already had and manage to do your PhD? So all I say is, if you like what you do and you find what you like, then work and life integrate so well that you don't have to look for this work-life balance. So for me, writing this book was my way of relaxing, my way of spending my time, which was enriching, and I felt it had a purpose, and the idea was to reach the many. So I know I wouldn't even know this, that I was a youth ambassador for the country. I worked with the United Nations. So this thought started at that point in time that I want to contribute to society. So from the age of 15, that's what I've been doing. So, because of corporate and, it took so much time for me to be able to do something like that again. It's taken a good decade and a half, but I'm happy I'm able to do that today.
Okay.
Fred, congratulations.
Thank you.
And knowing you, I can say that I know this book is going to be very, very engaging and practical. So once again, congratulations to father and son duo. Thank you.
Thank you.
Fred, congratulations, Padmanabhan here. There are wonderful takeaways. I mean, you used brilliant metaphors. Higher education is like a railway station. I mean, I was wondering, like, you will not get into the railway station without a goal. Okay, it brings out a lot of questions. How do you choose, and what will enable you to choose? What drive you to choose? Then suddenly you came up with a clarity part of it. Analyzing, there is another statement you said about it's not about only seeing through the passion. It's also not only looking within you, also outside. This builds a lot of connections in the way you've brought it. I mean, you're constructed the book, I believe. Maybe I will have an opportunity sooner to read through your book. And to your dad, there's a very beautiful statement. Once they find the Ikigai, they can live in harmony, nurture mind and relationship. They're very powerful statements. I truly appreciate both your effort. I mean, there are a lot of wisdom in this book, I believe. I'll certainly read through it and share my feedback. Congratulations again to both of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Padmanabhan. That was very lovely articulated. Just pick up the book whenever it reaches you. You will completely enjoy it.
Sure, Rajiv.
Anyone else?
Yeah, Steve here. To Sydney and to Savio, congrats for putting out to the world an insightful book. I think very meaningful points made today, and I'm sure more in the book. Reminds me of life really being a kind of a snowball. If the foundation is strong, it picks up all the snow and heavier as you go along. And I think many of your own, readings as well as experience of both of you will come together, as you said, Rajiv, to provide important questions of the day. Because, who am I? Where do I want to go? How will I get there? And how do I check if I'm in the right path? Have been questions that have been eternal, continue to be present, and will continue to inspire those who walk that path in the future. So all the very best for putting on a book that's seminal and that's relevant. So kudos to both of you.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, all of you, to have taken time and coming here. I think it's time to wrap it up. Let's have a round of applause for both of them on this lovely book being launched on 25th of June 2021. Wish you a lovely evening. Wish you a fantastic Ikigai-filled life. And please share this with many, many people who love books and read books and who are also trying to enhance their employability. As we post it on LinkedIn, we request all of you to share it to your fraternity so that the maximum number of people from the society get the benefit of picking up this book and helping themselves. Thank you so much, Fred, once again for joining in. And Mr. Savio, once again, it was a pleasure hosting this event for both of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us.